Can everybody hear? Yeah, just about. There we go. Peace be upon you. May we come together in the matters of the heart, that we may deepen our understanding of ourselves, our wisdom, our love, our compassion, that we may be humble in our knowledge, humble in the way we walk upon the earth, and understanding that all blessings, all understanding come from the Supreme Source beyond our ego and mind. And may we receive and feel deep gratitude to whatever learning we may experience on the path. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let us sit for a moment. Remembering that the true knowledge comes from a heart-to-heart connection in silence, with that which sustains us. We remember the words of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the one who knows themselves knows their Lord. That real knowledge doesn't come from words or information, but from understanding that which is given to us before we were taught language. Connecting to this we call the heart is innate. It's not about doing anything but letting go. And the reason we're using words is just to give us the confidence that not doing something is the path here for the moment. That consciousness has nothing to do with the brain. Which means it's got nothing to do with the mind. What does it mean for you just now? Just to be. We can sense the body being still. Relaxed. the spine straight, keeping us alert. These three qualities: still, relaxed, and alert, are the wisdom of the body which permeate into our consciousness. We become aware of the only thing moving is the rhythm of the breath. We understand that the divine is moving through us in the breath. Being conscious of the breath is being conscious of the moment. And even though we may be thinking, we pay no heed to it. Don't worry that you're thinking. The important thing is that our attention is still with the breath. And as we distill downwards to the body and the breath, we let go of the past and we stop speculating about the future. We don't even analyze the moment. We're just with, being, breathing. And as if the breath was a beautiful raft that took us to the still depths of the ocean, we gently let go of the breath And our attention is just residing in the stillness of the being itself. We are aware that we are aware. As simple as knowing that you're alive, with no other content. Whenever we identify or think, it only helps us bring contrast to that which always remains. Now notice, is that which always remains? Is it not you? Even though you can't say anything about it. Does it not have the qualities of being eternally fresh, peaceful, heartful, undefinable, clear? Within this space, we have many different masks. Sometimes we feel we look beautiful. Sometimes we feel we look ugly. Sometimes we're angry. Sometimes we're kind. But these are variations of the body-mind complex. And they've all gone. And new ones will arise. But will this space go? Will this space arise? Or is it the one that observes all the comings and goings? And I ask again, is it not the real you? Can you see it in the mirror? Can you look at this space and go, I look ugly? Or are these things meaningless statements to who you really are? So it's just a sense of presence without that person who looks in the mirror. What could be easier? Keeping our awareness in this presence, we once again feel the breath. Then we feel the whole body again, in the space around us. Maintain this presence. And then we listen to the Dharma. We maintain the presence. So I pray that you're all well. We'll continue on with the Bodhisattva path, how to awaken the heart and live from the heart. Remembering, and really important, that unless you have a good heart, certain knowledges and wisdoms cannot arise to you. They can't be known. Yeah, it's like the mind can only know certain things and can only penetrate the veils of the divine to a certain level. But in order to go deeper into divine knowledge and divine wisdom, we need to open the heart. And this way we understand you don't have to be clever to progress spiritually. There's a text by Padmasambhava, Dzogchen for old ladies. Yeah. There's a story of a very famous Sufi. I can't remember his name, so forgive me. Who was coming into town. So back in those days, maybe a few hundred years ago, we understand that it was like the equivalent of when some 11 yahoos kick a pig skin into an onion net and they get a bit of silver. And when they come back to their hometown, the whole town comes out, waving flags. So the whole, like Edinburgh got shut down when these 11 yahoos who kicked the pigskin came back from Glasgow and had a bit of silver to look at. The whole, like thousands of people worshipping. That's what they worship. The body, right? Sports are great, right? It's just like the body. So back in the day, they worship wisdom, knowledge. Yeah. So this master was coming through, and there's like lots of people gathered, and they want to come round. Like, you know, nowadays we want an autograph, and in that culture, you kiss the hand of the master. I just want to be near him. I just want to see him. Like these people, who was it? Someone saying they're going to camp out to see a rock star. Camp out, just get close, right? Very make it clear, understand what people worship, because you become what you worship, what you love. And big parade, and there's an old woman there. She couldn't care less, and she's like, "Who's that guy?" And just get out of my way, trying to get to the shops, kind of thing, important stuff. And someone says, "That's so and so. He's like one of the kings of Islam. He gave the 100 proofs for Allah." He said, "Must have had 100 doubts," and walked on. And this guy told the sheikh what she said, and he's like, "Take me to her." So he takes her to the old woman, and he says, "Please make prayers for me." And he says, "May we all have the faith of old women." Yeah, so women just like old women, like my mum, they just believe like unshakable faith. And that's higher than someone just learns lots of stuff. As we'll get into it. We can do it now. Skip ahead. Praising ourselves and scorning others. So you might learn lots of knowledge, lots of books, lots of texts, lots of classes. You might say back in the day you memorized the Quran, people memorized the Quran. Loads of stuff, like all the different names, people like Ibn Arabi and Jalaluddin Rumi. But you go to a dinner table and you just sit there talking about how great you are, how you can see the unseen, how you're special. You just relay your amazingness to people around the table whilst you slag off other people. You're falling from the Bodhisattva path. Yeah. That's number. You skipped ahead. Number 32. Now this is like a downfall, like a minor downfall. If it's just got pride, you don't have the intention to deceive others. But if you kind of just want them to, see how special you are with your knowledge, your studies, and you tell them how you can sit for ages, or you get so many blessings, or da-da-da-da, then that's a root downfall. It's the first of the root downfalls. We're currently going through the minor ones. The first of the root downfalls of falling from the path of the heart is praising ourselves and scorning others. We incur a root downfall if we praise ourselves with the motivation of deceiving others so that we might receive gifts or enhance our reputation. We also incur a root downfall if we criticize others with the wish to hurt them. In both cases, the downfall is complete only if someone hears and understands our words. And the minor downfall is praising ourselves and scorning others. This is similar to the first root downfall, except that we are motivated by slight pride and have no intention to deceive others. So you're just kind of babbling away, talking about yourself, and, how great you are. But, you just kind of, that's just your kind of internal dialogue, just, oh, I'm good at that, I did this, so, But if you're sitting there going, I don't need possessions, and I can meditate for ages, I don't need to see anyone, and you're just displaying how great you are on the spiritual path, and you just kind of, so that those around about you will just kind of look up to you and go, he's special. It's a serious downfall. Like, what you're doing. Yeah. The path to whereas someone who's at the dinner table and they just go, I'm really rubbish. I'm not, and they're just honest about how they feel about things. It's like, I don't know about politics, I just want to get paid. Then they can move on the path. Right? They know where they are. Yeah, there's no guile in the mind. You want to be with them more than someone just, oh, here we go. The mountain of self, here comes I'm so special, I'm amazing on the path, I know what Dzogchen is, and blah, 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 blah. We all do it, right? Or, want to do it to try and get laid. It's when we're motivated by the lower desires. And it's no small thing trying to overcome our reputation. But the next one on the list is this is part of the concern. So it's not overcoming obstacles to shamatha, mental stabilization. In this context, there are 5 obstacles to shamatha, or concentration. 1, needless self-reproach and excitement. 2, malicious thoughts. 3, sleep and dullness. 4, distracting desires. 5, frequent and disturbing doubts. If we make no effort to abandon these, we incur a secondary downfall. So I don't think that's anyone here. Anyone here doesn't make any effort to do these things. In the other text, we read it as such. If one embraces and does not dispel any of the 5 obscurations that obstruct the achievement of the jhanas, namely excitation and anxiety, malevolence, sleepiness and dullness, yearning for the pleasures of the desire realm, and uncertainty, that is the misdeed of not purifying the obscurations of the jhanas. These classic, the 5 obscurations. I can't remember the full analogy, but it's like Buddha said, it's like all 5 of them are like being bound in iron in your wrists and your arms, being sold as a slave and being left alone in a desert. It's like, that's what it's like internally. Yeah, you've no freedom, you've no choice, you're bound by these you're bound by the lower self. Yeah. Like the heart is the halfway point between the lower self and when we have complete certainty in the divine. That this is arisen now in your consciousness. It's like part of what the path of Shabbat is all about, is gaining that certainty in the divine. When we reach that place, then it's like whatever happens to us, we understand it's from Allah, the divine, from God. Yeah. So there's people like this. You know, whatever happens, it's like God's will. And on the way there, we need trust. Trust is like the tip-in point. It's like of when we start to develop wisdom. So this is like the good heart develops wisdom. So trust, the tip-in point, is whenever we hear stories of someone, like social media, the cancel culture, is our first instinct is like, what's the context? Well, there must have been a reason why they did that. When we don't have trust, we immediately think that the negativity defines that person. So they're bad, they did that action and they're bad. And that proves it. But when there's trust, we just necessarily think they're good, and there's a reason why a negative action happened. Like that. That's what trust is like, isn't it? If you hear a bad story about your partner, you immediately think, well, why did they do it? What happened for them to do it? You don't think, oh, they're bad. When you hear a bad story about someone else, you might just think, oh yeah, bad person. So the level we just believe negativity is like the level we don't really have trust. Trust always recognize that we are good at heart. That recognition that we're good at heart is wisdom. That wisdom can't be opened whilst we don't have a good heart, whilst we don't trust, constant mistrust about everything and people, because we don't recognize that what our nature's the Buddha nature, divine. So it's always like, why did they do something negative? What happened? Why did that person strike that woman? Yeah. Was he pushed to the edge? Yeah. Was she emotionally abusing him for 25 years? And then you put it on the scales. What would you rather have? Would you rather someone slap you in the face, or would you rather be emotionally abused for 25 years? So slapping someone in the face in itself is nothing, right? But if you don't, again, have wisdom, we take the action in and of itself as inherent. That taking things in and of themselves as inherent is ignorance. Right? Like emptiness is by nature that trust, that lovingness that understands context and relativity. So it's very, very important. Then we look at these obscurations, and one of them is malice. It's a real obstacle to developing peace. But shamatha is peace of mind, right? Tranquil abiding. And if you've got resentment and malice in your heart, very difficult. And if we're, of course, agitated, we know that we can't be peaceful. We're excited, we get... Even if you buy a lottery ticket and it's 10 minutes to go before the lottery's done. Let's say if I give you a lottery ticket and it's 10 minutes to go, can you sit and meditate without... And you're going to look. You don't even know if you've won. Can you just sit without thinking about it? You get excited, you get agitated. It's like, well, Or if the football's on in 10 minutes, can you sit? Big game, big Scotland game. It's like, excuse me. You know, you could bet a lot of money that Scotland would get knocked out in goal difference. Not for my little brother sends me the football results and stop watching football. It's like a series of falsities. Distracted myself. The excitement prevents us. So we know that we need to set time aside for meditation when we're learning, right? It's very difficult to meditate just before you go to work, compared to you got the day off or you're on retreat. Yeah. So excitement, again, can be anxiety or depression, dullness. It's like booze is an obstacle. Dulls the mind. Unless you're taking tequila. Excites the mind, right? Gurdjieff used to get his, if you ask for initiation, then he'd get you absolutely hammered. He'd feed you and get you absolutely plastered. Because then you'd see what comes out what type of person comes out when they're really drunk. So if you're really loving and you drink a lot of whiskey, more love comes out. If you're repressing things, anger comes out from whiskey, right? Wife beater. That's what's that lager?
Stella.
Probably get sued or something. Wife beater. Stella, right? Not if you've got a good heart. If you've got a good heart, more love will come out. So you get them plastered and see what they're actually covering. Yeah. But generally, dullness, sleepiness, we know such an obstacle. Yeah. And doubt. Am I doing it right? Is this the path? Again, this lack of trust. The more we go into love, the more we'll understand trust. We just like this. There's a beautiful story of the Prophet. He's with his companions, and this kind of simple guy just came and said, I don't really pray. I don't do the practices. And he's going, where will I go? What's going to be the result? Where am I going to go? The afterlife or whatever. And the Prophet, he's like, well, where do you think you're going to go? You don't do anything. He said, and he says, but tell me what you love. He's gone, I love the Prophet and I love Allah. And the Prophet said, you will be with whom you love. And it said the companions were so ecstatic, like that Abdul Bakr just started whirling, just in ecstasy. Like we all know that we can be bad and forget things, but we all know who we love. And they love the Prophet so much. And Allah that's where they're going to go. It's like the Prophet confirmed it. When you get that confidence, it's like just ecstasy, and it strikes you. When it strikes you that God exists, when it strikes you that love is the path, and it's not some intellectual premise, it's just the confidence. That's why we pray, we meditate, and we just listen to the same things again and again, just to remind us to hear. It's enough. When your beloved calls your name, isn't it? It's like, I'm bored of you calling my name. Just get me a new name. Call me that today. It's boring being called the same name. You understand? If someone says that, they have no love, they have no marriage, they have no wisdom. I want someone new. Oh, I've been practicing this practice for a week. I want someone new. Okay. Uncertainty. It's like when you're in love, there's no doubt. But you don't know what it is, right? Right? But you've no doubt. So that's the perfect measure. That's why love is the path to God, to understand God. When you love your partner, there's no doubt, but you don't know what it is. And then they say, I love you. So this is like the prophet. Saying, I love you, and just fall off that, just went berserk. Couldn't take it. So this is the path. This is the Bodhisattva path. And it's like, again, sometimes you might get abstract, but we recognize we've got a battle with the lower self. And again, relationships are very beautiful. If you just try it. You can make an agreement with each other. For a day, only the lower self wins. Yeah. So you're not allowed to express love, contentment, peace, or wisdom. When you get angry, you have to express it, because that's how you feel. Yeah. And you express your jealousy. Yeah. Express your resentments. Express your hatred. Express your pride, how better you are than your partner, how many you know better. You can't even do it. We couldn't even do that as an agreed experiment, because the relationship would end. It's the animal self. We have an animal self. We know we have to survive in this environment. And the animal self has perfect needs as we go into Dzogchen. Dzogchen is the understanding that the animal has its place. And when you're in Dzogchen, when you're in God, so Dzogchen means you're in God. When you're in God, then you can do what you like, because you know you're the master of the animal. So it's basically when you've what do you call it? When you broke the horse in, you can ride wherever you like. Can you not? If you haven't broke the horse in, you go and watch the cowboys. The horse is going wherever it wants, and you've got the pride of saying, I'm doing whatever I like. So a lot of these Neo-Advaita teachers that I see, they are the quintessence, the very essence of the statement, the blind leading the blind. There's always been the blind leading the blind. But this idea, I don't need to I just do what I like. No, it's like we've got to tame the wild beast. As simple as that. Then you can do what you like. When it's tame. When you don't get angry. Then you can get angry. Then it's got its place. It's got its energy. In fact, if like a big dog comes and you don't get afraid, if you don't understand to go away, you're a moron. Yeah. And if you don't understand when you're hungry, you need to eat, you're a moron. If you don't understand that we need to procreate or the species will die, you're a moron. But if that energy of the need to procreate takes over your life, you can't function, because all you're doing is chasing women or chasing men. Yeah. And you'll crawl over people to get to the thing your animal desire wants. Yeah. They say you'll puff yourself up at the dinner table and put your friend down because you quite fancy this thing your animal desire's got in. Yeah. Or someone will do the slightest difficult and you get angry at them because your ego's out of control. Yeah. This is the spiritual pathway. And so the other obstacle is the worldly desires, not worldly needs. Yeah. So when we learn the path, we understand the context of we need to eat, we need to drink, we need to have fun, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's that recognizing when one of those elements is out of control. Yeah. We know it, right? Someone makes us angry and we obsess over them for maybe a week, and the malice has got us. And we need to control it. Someone said to the Prophet, said, like, give me like the profound teaching. And he said, don't get angry. And he said, right, okay. Do you have another one? And he went, don't get angry. And again, he said, is there anything else? And I went, do not get angry. And someone also said to him, what do you do when you're angry? He went, sit down and be quiet. What's it like when you get angry? You want to, wah. And he's like, not very fashionable in the New Age circles. So, every one of us here is making an effort to overcome these things, right? So it's like you just stop making an effort. It's like, oh, fuck it, just do what I like whenever I want. We understand that that's not going to be very helpful for our practice of peace of mind. These are like an ongoing, lifelong work. 26. Being preoccupied with the taste of shamatha, mental stabilization. Here, the taste of shamatha is the experience of bliss, peace, and suppleness induced by concentration. If we become attached to this and regard it as the ultimate result of concentration, we incur a downfall because this attachment diminishes our wish to help others and hinders our Mahayana practice, our loving heart. The real value of concentration is not the temporary bliss that it induces, but it's being the means by which higher realizations can be attained. And I'll read out the other masters. If one craves the bliss of jhana and regards that experiential taste as its fine quality, that is the misdeed of regarding the taste of jhana as its fine quality. as in and of itself. This is it, you know. Sitting in your room, blissed out your mind. And people are a nuisance to that experience. That's the downfall. Yeah, ever had that experience? Shut up. I'm trying to meditate. I was just about to get it. I was just about to have this. So there's a very, I mean, that's like, you can see it's very deep training, right? Like a long time to polish the heart, you know, to reach our deeper potential, to not be attached to bliss, peace. And this suppleness is just like this joyful clarity of the mind. It's like this sharp ability to distinguish between things and not be attached to that. So part of the trainings we understand is like you offer your food up, or you just try not to get attached to like a box of junk from the attic, for example. You know, it's been in the attic for years, but it's like, oh, still got to do, still mine, still mine. Oh, maybe I could sell it. You know, yeah, still. It's like, if you're still attached to that, how are you going to let go of like a state of bliss deeper than your sexual bliss, experiencing that, and someone comes because they need your help? No. It's like, or you just leave it. Training, right? Small things. We want to train in small things. Saying we let go of small things. Try it. Just, you've got something and you haven't used it for 5 years. See if you can give it away. Like my sheikh says, if you've got clothes and you haven't worn them for 2 years, bin them up. And clearly you don't need them. It's just like an attachment in your mind. Yeah. Clearly you don't need them. Yeah. It's like, can you let go of it? It's like, so that's what we're working with, that attachment. It's fine, right? It's just like, you know, you don't beat yourself up about it. It's like part of the training. It's like, and different things. We'll be better at some things than others. These are, again, how much do you want Allah? How much do you want the divine? Because that's all of you and all things. Take me. Now, even as I say, I cannot remember myself. They think like you're going to become like a disembodied. Like it just sounds like the most unenjoyable, disembodied absence of interaction with anything. So we have to understand what attachment is. Attachment is looking at something, heightening, exaggerating its good qualities, thinking it's inherently existent, wanting it to the exclusion of everything else. And as we go deeper in the unveiling of our hearts, and as we say, we're listening to the names of God again and again, they just become more and more unveiled, like La ilaha illallah. It contains the entire path. We understand that the clothes you've got in the attic is Allah. So yeah, it makes no difference. It's not like if you have the clothes or you don't have the clothes, you're in the same sense of bliss. This is what non-attachment is. It's all Allah. So what difference does it make if you've got some clothes? The distinguishment that the clothes matter, you exaggerate their qualities, and it's like, that's attachment. Now, if you got the clothes, and it doesn't matter if you have them or you don't have them, right? That's non-attachment. And if you're in that state, you can enjoy them. You ever got new clothes and they're white and you go for a meal? What's that like? It's enjoyable. It's just like, I can't, you need that attention for our moral discipline. Or new shoes, isn't it? You can't really enjoy them once you're attached to them, can you? Like that. If you're not attached to them, it's great. It's like if they last for a day, they last for a day. It's like, but that person who is not attached, they enjoy their clothes. It's very important you understand this, that the Buddhas aren't trying to punish you. They're trying to make you enjoy yourself. And what's stopping you from enjoying yourself is the attachment. That is pain. There's some clothes, there isn't. And it's like, that doesn't mean you don't use them. In fact, you use them better. Someone who's not attached to their clothes can go out when it's muddy and slide in the mud. Now, the more, like, I went back to college, I used to hang out with hippies and stuff. I went back to college, and then seeing just the level of the narcissism, like the whole time just wanting to be photographed, like selfie, like everything's got to be neat and clean. And people just, like, if there's a puddle, it's a problem. Like, no. Like, everything is just about how you're going to be photographed and how you look, instead of like just jumping in puddles. Jumping in puddles is fun. It's just clothes. And again, the moment of life is gone because you're worried about how you look and attached to the clothes. Just cut them up. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to do this every day. But sometimes maybe you felt like you wanted to run, but you're like, oh, how will I look? What about my clothes? That attachment has just prevented you from a living moment. And you know it, right? We know it. Oh, but what about my clothes? You just missed a moment of beauty with a friend when you could have danced in the rain. That's what they're getting at, right? Not that you don't have clothes, not that you don't have stuff. The attachment. So we have to work out what that is. And because they're saying that's what's preventing us from actually enjoying things. So when we're training and letting go of things, we're trying to let go of that mind and noticing the pain of hoarding. A hoarder's happy. Have you seen the program Hoarders? I used to be made to watch that show. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's a den of misery, but they still can't let go. Even though they know it's the cause of all their pain, we see the habit is very pure Dharma. The habit of hoarding creates more hoarding. They know it's the hoarding that causes the pain, and still they can't let go. That's attachment. That's like we should get photos of hoarders up in the temple and go, that's attachment. That's what it looks like. It looks like hoarders and Smeagol. If we were to paint it, draw it, right? I mean, that's what Tolkien did. He articulated it in the imagination. Me. Attachment to the ring, just like at no point is there peace in his mind. So I hope you understand that's got nothing to do with not enjoying things. It's all about how to enjoy them more. And then we have to investigate that for ourselves. What is it that's causing me this unenjoyment? Is it that I've given into like sloth for 2 or 3 years and I've sat in front of a TV that I'm now feeling down? For example, you like look and check. Was it the sloth? Was it the giving into comfort when I should have been exercising? For example. Yeah, well, like we know that exercising is good for us, but like might not enjoy it. Yeah, it's called wisdom. Knowing we have to do things we can't enjoy, not just you just do what you like, isn't it? Again, just simple rules. So we have methods, right? Just like when we dedicate, like mean it. Don't just say the words. For the love of God, Bismillah. Don't just say the words of the dedication. Understand you're training and letting go of your attachment to bliss and peace. I give you the results of my meditation. May that energy come out of me as an arc of prayer into heaven, into someone else. I'm letting go of it. I don't want to be attached to my spiritual state. It creates a spiritual ego where I think I'm better than others. Yeah, you come into a group of meditators and you think, I know they don't really know. I'll let them in my presence. It'll benefit them, me being there. And it's like then I can tell them the Dharma and stuff, and it's like really, really horrendous, right? Like the spiritual realization we're looking for is understanding that we're nothing. We're nothing on two levels. One, Allah is all. La ilaha illallah. There is only Allah. You don't exist. And that Allah manifests as all these beings, and you're one among 9 billion. That's just humans. And you are not more important than any of them. And there's you on one side of the scales, and there's 9 billion on this side. But it's like, it's all about me. Now, is that an illusion, or is that the truth? Like we have a sense of self that we need to look after ourselves, like say these needs and functions. Just when the sense of self, the self-importance is the root. Just as if anger's out of control, our life is hell. If our attachment's out of control, our life is hell. If the self-importance is out of control. Now this isn't easy. So this little thing isn't just going to go just because you went to hear a teacher and they said, just rest in presence, you've got it, you're awakened. It's not going to go, and we know it. It will manipulate how it perceives itself around all the spiritual concepts and practices and go, I'm better than everyone else because I'm spiritual. I'm better than everyone else because, I'm clever. I'm better than my mum and dad because I can explain things better than them. I'm better than them because I don't do sports. That's stupid. No, my teacher said football's stupid. I'm better than them. I don't play football. Whatever it is, we're just like, it's incredible, isn't it? Again, one of the methods is rejoicing is another beautiful method. Whenever we see someone, we just think, oh, how wonderful. Or someone's cleverer than us, go, wow, that's amazing. They're so clever. Alhamdulillah, praise be to God, how clever they are. Yeah. And we're not to worry that when we have these negative thoughts, like when we notice it, it's not bad in and of itself. We can't help it. Yeah. It's if we follow it. This is the point of it. It's when we give into it. What you're going to do? You're at a dinner table with a bunch of clearly morons. Yeah. There are things as stupid people and wise people, and they're just like really stupid. It's like they believe the BBC. what are you going to do? You know that you know more. You don't pretend that, like, that's the thing, you get into, like, see how the ego hijack it. It's like, no, I'm going to, you know more. It's just if you indulge in it. You can, ask your spiritual guide, ask Allah, just protect me from it. And speak and try and be humble. Humble doesn't mean you pretend to be lower. It's just humbleness recognizes the good qualities in everyone else. You don't diminish your own good qualities. If you understand the good qualities of everyone else, you don't need to. You just keep noticing that the ego needs to climb to the top. It's always got to be the best Sangha member. I'll be the best. It's good to be in the middle. That's the general advice of the Buddhists. Take the middle way. It's just like, good at some things, not so good at other things. No. So training, letting go of the good moments and moving on. Praise be to God. Dedicate, next moment. Yeah, good or bad, next moment. 27. Abandoning the... Well, actually, have we got any questions so far? Okay, great. Abandoning the Hinayana. That's the lowest school. That's the teachings that help us understand ourselves. The teachings and practices of the Hinayana are methods to release beings from the sufferings of samsara. Therefore, they are holy dharma and objects to be respected. If we regard them as contradictory to the teachings of the heart, the Mahayana, and believe that they must be abandoned, we incur a secondary downfall. And the other master says, if one regards listening to the collection of the Shravaka teachings, memorizing the meanings of its words, practicing them, and so on, while maintaining that although they are necessary, they are useless for bodhisattvas, and one expresses that view to others, that is the misdeed of rejecting the Shravakas. So again, it's like, I'm a Dzogchen, I don't need to do anything else. You've just fallen from the path. So it's actually quite easy to understand that there's a hierarchy of wisdom, and just because there's a hierarchy of wisdom, it doesn't denigrate the lower. Is it important that you cut your nails and cut your hair? Yeah, quite important. You make yourself look presentable. That's important. It's important that you kind of use soap. We don't actually need to use soap. That's probably the bags and the water alone is enough. But like you clean the body, clean the armpits. Is it as important as when a doctor gives you prescriptions for heart disease? Nope. So it's like, let's say it's important that you eat pleasurable food like chocolate. Like imagine you didn't eat anything that tasted nice. It'd be horrendous, right? It's important that we have a diet, balanced diet. If the doctor gives you advice on what you need to eat for your heart disease or you'll die, and you have to stop eating, like say fruit, even though it's good for you, in a certain context, you're going to stop doing it. You're going to stop doing it because the heart's more important than the other needs. It doesn't mean that those other needs are like rejected, abandoned. Your heart's not always going to be in that condition. There are times when the teachings and the vows of the Bodhisattvas supersede the instructions of, our personal development and what we need for our self-developing. Like lying, don't lie. The Bodhisattva may need to lie to help someone else. It supersedes. It's not like I can do anything, like I can just say what I need, like, you understand? When you're in God, it's said, when you've really developed they have different names for them in Islam, but the 6 perfections, essentially the same: patience, giving, kindness, love. When you really develop these, and these are your main functions in life, your main characteristics, then God becomes the eyes in which you see, the ears in which you hear, and the hands in which you touch. It becomes Allah, Dzogchen, right? When that happens, you don't need to worry about the vows. You are the vows. And then you'll do whatever is needed in whatever moment is the right action. Now, that doesn't mean, we understand the analogy of the body, that you're not going to eat food, even though you don't need to. You're not going to cut your nails, even though you don't need to. You're still going to do all these things. You're still going to clean the house, because that's got its own law. The cleaning of the house is not more as important as looking after your sick wife who's dying. When your sick wife is dying, that takes precedence over cleaning the house. And when you understand all these laws all together and how all they function, how together, you can do whatever you like. You don't need to think about it anymore. If you go into a hoarder's house, you need to clean your house, and you need to explain to them how you need to clean your house, and how that is going to lead to this happiness and that. Yeah. If you're in this higher state, you know how low you don't denigrate the lower teachings. If you do, you're moving into trouble. You're moving into separating, and you're not understanding La ilaha illallah. That this is all Allah, and this is all the way to understand the divine as it expresses itself. So don't talk down and denigrate the lower teachings, like don't step over Dharma books, things like that. Well, they're obviously not as high and as important as understanding the self, but they're all connected. 28. Studying the Hinayana to the detriment of our Mahayana practice. To attain bodhicitta and other Mahayana realizations, and finally to accomplish the state of Buddhahood, we need to study and practice the Mahayana teachings. If instead of doing this we put great effort into studying the Hinayana, with the result that our Mahayana practice is weakened, we incur a secondary downfall. So again, it's understanding that the teachings on love are higher, are more important. The teachings on becoming one with Allah is more important than how you enter a temple, how you treat the books. And if you obsess on those details, if you obsess on, no, Muslims can't eat pork, Muslims you can't stand, you have to wash your head 4 times, if you obsess on them, to the detriment of how do you develop love and kindness and be with someone and listen to them over these rules, you fall. I think that's very clear. Some people haven't had access to teachings on love, so it's like we understand they're just at the outer level, and we don't denigrate it. That's the point. It's going to lead them there, but at some point they'll just think this is just kind of empty rituals. Yeah, but we need rituals. It's like, you'll understand when you get married. Unless you're deranged, I don't know how else to put it. Unless you're just so absorbed in your self-imaged idea of yourself, which some people call Dzogchen. Like it's like a the shadow side where you don't get affected by people because you're so self-absorbed in your own state. If you don't get moved when you go to a wedding, it's just something wrong with you. Now, does anybody think that a wedding ceremony is a marriage? No. If you don't have a marriage without a wedding, what's a marriage? You understand interconnectedness and hierarchy. There's a lot of people. There are a lot of people who just say, no, you just rest in what a marriage is and you never express it. You don't need to talk about it. You don't need to talk about the outward signs. You don't need to put any function into it, any time into it. You just rest in that state and the other person should get it. That's true. I mean, it's possible that could happen. Why? Why not enjoy a wedding? I mean, I just think these people are crazy. You know, there's dangers that you just become a wedding crasher. It's nothing but ritual. You understand? If you're nothing but ritual, it's a problem. So, but people like Ibn Arabi, people like Ghazali, people like Rumi, they understand that you maintain form to some degree. Like Ibn Arabi's like, you must have a shake. You must have a shake. And then when you've had a shake, you can transcend it. I'm very clear about it. It's like, why not? Like the whole path of the Mahayana, so Bodhisattva, it means Sufism. That's Sufism. It's relationship. That's what it is. How are you going to love people on your own? So, like the Sufis say, getting married's half the path. That's exactly what it is. Half the path. They say you need the path of method and the path of wisdom. The path of method is relationship. And that's higher than just the path of being on your own and practicing. Of course, higher than that is your relationship to God. So this is what Jesus taught. Love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And love others as you see yourself, and both are equal. But there's precedence, isn't there, to God. It's like, because as you go into La ilaha illallah, you understand your partner is God. Here's one to get us going. 29. Studying non-Dharma subjects without a good reason. If we study non-Dharma subjects so as to increase our capacity to help other beings, this will not interfere with our Mahayana practice. But if we study non-Dharma subjects without a good reason, we incur a secondary downfall. The other master says, while having the opportunity to apply oneself to the teachings of the Buddha, but not doing so, instead applying oneself to the treatises of extremists, that is the misdeed of not applying oneself to the Buddha teachings, but instead applying oneself to non-Buddhist treatises. So that doesn't apply to anybody. Yeah, so just so you know. You don't have to worry about, what am I doing? It's like you're just off studying other stuff and you forget about the Dharma. And it's like, if you just, what it's pointing to is La ilaha illallah. This is our aim, right? We understand to see that everything is Allah, and that everything that has created is for us to come back to him and experience him in unity. And that what this world is created for is for us to understand and for Allah to see himself through himself. If you understand that, you can study whatever you like. Like Milarepa said, I don't need Dharma books, the world is my book. And we understand that it's in the book of love. It says that the world is also a book. In the articles of faith, when we understand the path of what the Holy Prophet taught, is to believe in the books of Allah. And one of the books we understand, we're told by the masters, is the earth. Yeah, it's not like you read. It's how to read life. So if that's your intention, that's your intention, is to get closer to Allah. It doesn't matter whatever you study. But if you're just doing it, like I want to get better at, I want to be more intellectual, so I can like put people down, like at dinner parties, or I can show off, or then you're moving off the path. It's like notice this. This is the guidance. Why am I doing something? It's like because I want to do it. It's like, right, why do I want to do it? Am I called to do it? If you're called to do it, then that's Allah has put something in your heart to learn it, right? It's giving you a talent. For example, you're giving you a talent, and where am I going to seek beauty? You can't just sit there like I can only read a book that mentions the word Allah or Buddha. Otherwise, it's like a wrong book. What? You're not going to learn anything. That's just like just doing ritual, and having no life. Yeah, many of the great mystics on the path couldn't even read. They couldn't read the Quran. It's like, I get taught directly from Allah. What does that mean? It's like that's why you listen to your heart. You're learning through the interactions with others. You can't read about love. You can only love. You can only be with someone and listen to them and give more attention to them than you and feel into them. And this is knowledge, and this is learning, right? And so then it's like, right, I go to college, and then it's like you see how people function, you see how they operate, you see how people move, you engage in it in your totality. This is learning. This is coming closer to Allah. Then you'll be able to teach people later, right? Because you've lived, so you know what they're experiencing. It's that constant openness, that constant love of knowledge. Like if you've taken Shahada, one of your obligations is to know. It's to study knowledge, like the Prophet. It's like his main thing. And in the Book of Love, knowledge, know, learn. Yeah. Some of the scholars say that's interchangeable with worship. When people say you worship Allah, it means to know him. To know. That's a pretty good reason for, I think I might have said it before. Someone was criticizing to Osho Krishnamurti because he was reading a detective novel. It's like, how can someone enlightened read a detective novel? That's a waste of time. And Osho said, when Krishnamurti reads a detective novel, he's reading the Quran. And when you read the Quran, you're reading a detective novel. In a nutshell. It's got nothing to do with what we do. We understand. This is like the hierarchy. Like, so Ibn Arabi says we've got our obligations. And the Master, we have some form and practice that we do. But the hierarchical need is we're moving into intention. We're trying to fall in love with the divine. We're falling in love through the divine, through the creation. And just check in, and we're doing it every day. When we sit and we do our prayers and practice, we check in into this motivation again. And then we go out into the universe, into the creation, to learn, to experience, to taste, to be. This is the vehicle for tasting. Yeah. We left the Holy Spirit to taste and then come back with more love. So I said, we succeed in life. It doesn't matter what job you have, how much money you have, if people like you or don't like you. But when you go back to your Creator and you have love in your heart, you've won. And even if you have all the money, all the fame, you've got a YouTube channel with 6 million subscribers, and you've got all this, and you come back without love, you failed. And you will experience the result. You will go back to what you love. You will be with what you love. If you love life, you will be in love with even more life. That is the source of life. What to say of where you'll go when you love the creation, the one that created love. Think of your experience of love. How lovely it is. What to say of the one that put that in you. And this is why you pick up a book to read it. Okay, Hakeem? This is why you pick up your novel to experience it. We can learn how to read. We'll learn how to read. We learn how to do things with love in our heart. This is the point. This is like the guidance to remind us. Don't just go off and be a twat. Just make it beautiful, meaningful. We have to be in the world, right? That's a good reason. You have to get money, right? Or you can't do anything. That's a good reason, is it not? Without a good reason, you think, is that a good reason to get money so I can live and eat? That's a good reason. So anything that sustains the needs is a good reason. If it's our attachment, that's not a good reason. So we make it a good reason. It's not that hard, is it? It's like, I'd like to go and do this. And it's like, you recognize, oh, that's my ego. And it's, well, change it. Oh, right. Actually, yeah, I recognize there's some ego there. It's like, how can I do this for my path? For God. Easy, right? Like, and remember, one of the obstacles to overcoming shamatha is needless self-reproach. So if you have this like, oh no, I'm so bad for wanting to do something, that's needless self-reproach. We're human beings. We have to live in the world. It's like, it's quite important, right? I'll just do the next one quickly. It's becoming engrossed in non-dharma subjects for their own sake. So basically, we get into something, we've got a good motivation, we get totally wrapped up in it. Yeah. And the next thing we know, we've forgotten about the path, the dharma, the sangha. Yeah. And we want to be a cage fighter. We just really got into jogging. It's like, then we get obsessed about doing a marathon, and it's like, you're not coming to retreat anymore. No, I've got to do a marathon. It's like, no, don't do that. It's like, do it, get into it, but don't get too carried away by something that in and of itself is not going to lead you to Allah. It's like we can transform anything, but there are certain things that we want to keep our mind on. What do you do? Well, come to classes, listen to the Dharma, meditating, Just make sure it doesn't interfere too much with that. Like you might run a half marathon for charity. And once you do that, your meditation practice might go down. That's fine. But I say, if you then just become a marathon runner and your practice comes off, not good. Quite simple. But I'll just finish with the master Al-Ghazali. He's like a genius of the mind. See, if you just think Russell Brand, but imagine Russell Brand was put into Islam from the age of 5. Right? And that's all he learned. But that sharp mind, right? This dude learned everything. And he's like, in order to debate with someone, like you never talk down to someone. It's never like, you never praise yourself, scorn others. You have to know their argument in order to refute it. You have to know it. You have to actually know what they mean. So he was wanted to debate with the philosophers. So he studied their philosophy and wrote a book on it, which took him a year. He just didn't tell them, just wrote a book, studied their philosophy, and then gave it to them. He said, what do you think about that? And they're like, wow, that's better than we know. Yeah. So much so that the book became famous in the West. Like Ghazali's known as a philosopher, because the Greek influence came into Islam. And they're like, an amazing philosophy on your book on philosophy. They didn't know that that was just there so he could then refute them all. So he knows them better than them, and he's proven it, that I know what you're talking about better than you. Now here's how you're wrong. That's incredible, right? That's not, but so this is not getting lost in what you're doing. Yes, totally studying philosophy, writing a book on it, spending a year of his time doing it. At no point is he going, right, oh, philosophy is amazing. This is how it's wrong. Can't argue with someone like that. It's like that. And then the great thing was, he realized that everything he was doing was complete crap. Just words. And just like, I've just got a sharp mind. And he was talking about love, and he's just like, and our lives going, but he still had a doubt. And he got to such a conflicting moment inside him. I want you to imagine this, that he was like, imagine Joe Rogan just about to speak to one of his guests, and his voice stops. It's like, he couldn't talk. There's such a crisis between what love and truth really is and all his knowledge about it. Imagine, that Russell Brand, taken to the doctors, but there's nothing wrong with you. It's like a total spiritual crisis. And he went off on retreat for 2 years and became a sweeper in the temple. So it's like he was at like the highest level. So it's like Harvard, and then he realized, what I want to do is clean the temple. Just be on retreat and clean the temple. And it's like, when you're famous in those days, people don't know what you look like. So he's like the greatest scholar of the time. And he'd be at the mosque, no one would know him, just sweep the temple, just keep quiet. Yeah, intellectual knowledge, it's not the way. So we can, again, teach us to be humble, right? Why are we here? It's to open our heart to love, right? And we use our wisdom, our mind to help us. But it is a sword, and the sword can cut us if we're not careful. Yeah. So we want to leave this session and go, yeah, walk outside and go, this is the book of Allah. And how am I learning from it? How am I enjoying it? Because my job here is to be like a little squirrel of gathering virtue and joy, of experiences. Like the day of judgment is like the day of bliss for us. Look what I learned. It's like daddy, that's what Jesus used to call him. Abba, that means daddy, right? We go, you're watching The Chosen, Abba, dad. It's like dad. It's not Holy Father, it's dad. It's like, look what I learned from your book. Yeah. So it's like, let us pray that we learn, that we know, that our understanding of worship is to know, to learn, to be, to play, to love our time on earth. This is what death awareness is for. To love every breath, every moment, every person, every situation. It's all La ilaha illallah. It's all a return back to the divine source. May we have awareness of this. And may we give all our love to others. May we understand our interconnectedness with all the world. And so whatever prayers we put out have an effect. Whatever we do matters. And that we grace this world with our inner dignity and humbleness of the Creator and the creation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Amen. Oh, thank you very much for your kind attention. So I don't get to any questions. Maybe another time. So have a beautiful day. Try to avoid the football if you can. Unless you want unless you want to practice Tonglen. Or take on the suffering of all the other countries by being Scottish. Okay. Peace be upon you. Thank you.